Can you believe it? We've gathered the troops here for Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems, and we have a newcomer here to the show. First of all, welcome on in. Tim Kulhanek, how are you?
I'm not the newcomer.
I know you're not, but that's why I said, first of all, we better see how Tim's doing.
Yeah, make sure the boss man gets recognized first.
The boss man, yes. Okay. And also in the Lincoln office, we have Zach.
We're not sure what his name is, but he's
Zach
here.
Vancas. Zach Vancas.
Just wandered in off the street, yeah.
It's my first time saying your name, Zach. Please forgive me.
This is a highlight. This is dream come true for young Zach
It
here.
really is. I've been trying to get all of my clients that come in that ask about the radio room to try and drop like a little hint on the way out of why is that Zach guy not? You guys would probably have a lot more business if you let him on the show.
Oh, do you hear that?
It's funny because no one's actually said it.
But, no, we're still working on it though.
Oh gosh, well, it's great to have you.
Good to be here.
Well, I was thinking this quote would be kind of fun, you guys. It's not about how far you travel in retirement. It's about how full your life feels. I could substitute that for how full your stomach feels, but that's, guys like to have a full stomach, Tim.
We do.
Yes.
Am I commenting on that quote?
You may.
I guess I don't really know what to say about that other than it goes back to, some people pack a full lifetime into a pretty short number of years. And you can, sometimes I think people get in the habit of delaying retirement longer than they probably should.
Oh.
And, you hear those stories, and I've seen them firsthand. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for 15, going on 16 years. And, you get those people that, they wait and wait and wait and delay and delay and delay, and then they retire, and within a year of retirement, there's a health issue that pops up that prevents them from doing things they wanted to do. Some of them are tragic stories. I had a guy who was severely injured and became permanently disabled within a year of retirement.
Wow.
And had a spouse pass away while he was actually in the hospital dealing with the whole health issues. Like, we try to encourage people, if we can make this work today, let's make it work today. And we recently did a show, one of our television programs was on retiring from the state of Nebraska. So we did in the state of Nebraska and some of the pros and cons to keep in mind when it comes to being a retiree in Nebraska. Nebraska's made a lot of headway by limiting taxation on Social Security, reducing the impact of inheritance tax. There's been some bills that have been passed that have done both of those things. But we still have a state income tax. Other states don't. Tax burden-wise, Nebraska is kind of right in the middle of the pack. If you look at overall tax burden, sales tax, property taxes, income taxes, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But when I was talking about retiring from the state of Nebraska, a lot of people underestimate the benefit of working in the public sector when it comes to benefits. And so on today's show, like we're talking, the headline here is talking about things like taxes and
yes.
What we juggle there. And Zach and I just had a meeting last night, the other day, with a gal who, she's an educator. And what we find time and time again is a lot of folks that work in the public sector in Nebraska. Nebraska's got a pretty darn generous or advantageous. Generous isn't the right word because generous makes it sound like you're getting a handout. And it's not a handout. You're working for this. It's an advantageous retiree program that if you work on the state or county side, there's something called a cash balance plan that you can effectively annuitize, and you don't have to do all of it. It's not all or none. You can build this and customize it, and that's what Zach and I, our job really is. Our team of experienced advisors here is to make sure that we're customizing this. We're dialing it in exactly to your unique specifications. There's no one-size-fits-all with what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. But number two is a lot of these folks, especially if were educators. So my mom's a retired teacher. I've got a lot of educators in my family. Some of my aunts also worked for the schools. These are as teachers or in administration of some kind. And what we found is a lot of those folks make more money retired than they do while they're working. And that's a pretty crazy thing to say or even think about.
It is.
But where it goes to that quote is, maybe we should just throw out an Andy Dufresne quote. You know who Andy Dufresne is?
From Andy Dufresne from the movie
Shawshank Redemption?
Shawshank, yes.
Get busy living or get busy dying. Mm-hmm. And the reality is a lot of these folks should probably retire today. You know, if they're full retired, they're 65, they've met the rule of 85, they should either retire, take a year off, and then go back to work so they can get their full retirement benefits and continue to work if that's something they want to do.
Oh, wow.
Or they should just retire and sail off into the sunset, because for a lot of these folks, it's going to take, like one gal, I looked at it and she was thinking, oh, I'm 68 now. Why don't I work till I'm 70?
Oh.
And I calculated her school pension at 68 and I compared it to age 70. It would take her like 35 years to break even. So it's like, okay, as long as you're 105, it's going to pay off to wait that extra 2 years. Obviously, that doesn't make any sense. And so our job is to put together a customized, individualized plan that is unique to your financial situation, that's going to get you to and through retirement, to be your guide to the retirement that you want to create for yourself, and get you doing that now so you can see your legacy play out in front of your eyes versus, you know, some of those stories that I was talking about earlier.
Sure. This is the number to reach Stonebridge, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. That advice is tremendous, and I know you always talk about living your life and having a life in retirement and having a distribution plan that works for you, and most people are better off than they think they are. Now, Zach, how do you feel about your clients when they come to you and want to convert some money to Roth? Is there a sweet spot where this can occur for our taxes?
Yeah, so we're definitely big fans of Roth conversions here. Obviously not specific advice for everybody. You got to look at each situation individually. But as a whole, when it comes to the sweet spot, it's when you have money in tax-deferred accounts, 401k, 403b, things, the Nebraska State Retirement Plan, all of those are tax-deferred accounts, which when you put the money in, you got a deduction, kind of. Not really a deduction. You just kick that can down the road. Mm-hmm. You're going to pay the taxes one day. So in looking at the question of Roth conversions, it's not a question of if we're paying taxes, but when. So the sweet spot is figuring out what do we think our tax bracket's going to be in retirement when we look at all of our distributions, RMDs, Social Security, any other sources of income we have. And if we can convert at a lower percentage than that, it obviously makes sense. The other consideration is even if it's going to look similar, you know, with the way the U.S. government is spending money right now, taxes are they've got to go up. It's just math, right? David Walker, former U.S. Comptroller General, he says there's a dirty four-letter word for why taxes got to go up, and it's MATH. Mm-hmm. So, you know, in a lot of situations, we're definitely pushing clients toward that conversion path for sure.
That's probably some good stuff, and it fits in if it's appropriate. Tim, mm-hmm. Like you said, everything is different for every person. But making more in retirement than you did at your salaried position, this is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, and that's not for everybody. That's not for most people, I would say, in fact. But the reality is, until you've had some sort of analysis and you know, mathematical computation done on your plan, it's really impossible to know. And at the end of the day, what we're trying to drive people to is making a decision. You're either going to have a retirement that's based off of circumstances or choice. Those are the two paths you can go down. So which way, Western man or woman? Are you going to go down the path of, well, as long as everything's going right in the economy and I'm happy with who's in Congress and what the people in the, you know, leadership roles in Washington are doing, as long as I'm happy and content with how that's all going, then I'm sure I'll be able to do the things I want to do in retirement because, you know, my people are in there. That means the market's going to go up and the economy is going to thrive. A lot of times we have that kind of tinted lens which we view things through. It's just unfortunately not the way it works. No matter who's in there, obviously there's a chance that there could be recession, there could be bear markets. There is going to be, that kind of happens like clockwork. It's kind of the price of admission to being an investor. And so the other option, rather than saying I'm going to leave it all up to circumstances of what's happening, of these things that are completely out of my control, is say choice. I'm going to take action now to augment my circumstances to better serve my purposes so that I can sleep well at night, because I'll know what it'll mean is that I'll know that I've got a plan that's been mathematically tested and it's designed to work in good markets and bad, high inflation and low, high interest rates and low interest rates. And doesn't matter what Jerome Powell or the Federal Reserve is doing. I've got a plan that's designed to work for me and my unique financial circumstances. That's what we'd like to do for all the folks listening today.
Great. Well, all they have to do is pick up the phone and be bold and make the appointment for the plan. 866-295-5146. Call Stonebridge, 866-295-5146. Now, let's see. Eli, Zach, and Tim are in the Lincoln office. Do I have that right? Or you circulate, Tim. What are you doing?
I circulate?
Between
That's
the
an interesting way of
offices.
putting it. No, actually, we evicted Eli.
And he's gone to Omaha.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been, as Zach put it, booted.
Yeah.
He got
Okay,
booted.
he's in
And
Omaha.
that was after he took the bigger office that I wanted, and now he's not even here.
Yeah, Zach here thought that he was entitled to the second largest office after he'd been here for, I think, 1 week.
No, it had been a few.
6, maybe.
5, yeah, something
Well,
like that.
that's great. I was just trying to indicate that there is an office in Lincoln, Omaha.
We got you covered.
Right, Grand Island. Kearney, of course, that's where the Go brothers hang.
Mm-hmm.
And just use this number. It's a centralized number, 866-295-5146 here on Retirement Compass Radio Show.
Is your retirement being eaten up by financial termites like hidden fees, inflation, and avoidable taxes? Call today for a complimentary financial review so we can help you root out these retirement killers.
So the show is Retirement Compass Radio Show, and Stonebridge brings you the show, and we have a great guest today. Well, he's not exactly a guest if he lives here, and that is Zach, right?
Yep.
Zach Vancas. Did I say it right? Mm-hmm. Oh, thank goodness. Whew. There's nothing worse than having somebody mispronounce your name on the radio.
I think
On
my name's
YouTube.
a little easier than Kulhanek. We've had a couple fun pronunciations when people call in and request a meeting.
I got over that really quick because I had to use all the vowels. The only vowel that's not in his name is an O and an I guess.
And sometimes why.
And sometimes Y, but all right, fellas.
The Flying
Let's-
Kulhanek brothers.
The Flying Kulhanek brothers. Yeah,
Yeah.
is it a Czech name, Kulhanek?
You got it.
Yeah. How about Vancas?
Yeah, it's actually Croatian. My father was born in Croatia, and they immigrated here when he was 5 or so. So,
How cool.
yeah.
And Eli, he's of immigrants as well, isn't he? Murdoch.
Antarctica or something like that.
No, not Antarctica. Oh, you guys have those great names. We're just plain Selby over here on this side of things.
I know.
Let's talk about our baby boomers here. We're still in peak 65, yo. Every single day, 10,000 baby boomers. And we're the junior boomers in my age group. We're the latter half of
Like
the...
4 years left of this, right?
Yeah. And then the system will be fully weighted. I don't know how long the older boomers are going to be hanging out with us. Hopefully they have a nice long lifetime and get to draw all of their Social Security, right? We hope
Right.
that it's going to survive for them.
We hope. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about a smoother, smarter retirement for the boomers that are claiming now. I feel like there's some key tips that we could go over. Get the big universal decisions right. What are those, Tim? The big universal decisions when swinging into retirement.
So this will be counter to what I said earlier, because
come
one of
on.
them is, well, maybe you should work a little bit longer because it could be a little bit of a hat trick. You could get additional money earned, obviously, which means more money saved if you're doing it the right way, and also means less time that you're drawing on your nest egg, higher Social Security benefits. There's all these different types of things to consider. You look at location, where you're going to live, where you're going to live most of the time. So maybe you have a vacation home, but you want to determine, like, I got a place in Nebraska and in Texas. Which one is my primary, my legal residence? So I have tax situs in this state, which, again, these might seem like little things, but they can really add up if you do it properly. It could be thousands, if not tens of thousands or more dollars over your lifetime just by choosing where to have your primary residence and where you're going to earn most of your income, and tax situs and inheritance tax implications. There's a lot that goes into it. But, you know, the thing that I think that sometimes is, I'll just say, overlooked when it comes to, like, the baby boomer generation is right now they're dealing with this for those younger ones specifically, and the older, the front end of it too. My dad's on the front end. He was a 46 model. And, you see these reports from the Social Security Administration, and it's kind of alarming because it says, hey, look, by 2033, 2034, we're not really sure because it's a moving target. The Social Security Trust Fund will be empty, and we'll only have about 77 cents on the dollar to pay for benefits. And they're thinking, is it going to be there for me? And the younger ones are thinking, do I need to pull the trigger on this today, get it while I can, so as to not miss out on benefits? And, there's a few different things that I just would really quickly want to remind folks is if you jump the gun on it, you think, well, I'm going to get it while I can. Everybody would still get the same reduction in benefits. So not only would you give yourself a permanent haircut by starting early, but then if they can only pay 77 cents on the dollar, you would take another cut from where you were. You'd take another 23% deduction or reduction of your benefits. So you'd have a reduction for starting early and a further, if that happened. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen. I want to be very clear about that. But I think that it's just a warning to folks to not overreact or panic and say, oh, I've got to take it while I can get it because I got to pull it right now. Because what a lot of people would do is they'd continue working and they'd pull it early. And then they'd butt up against the annual earnings test, which is like 23,400 this year or something like that. Which is what happened to my father, actually. He was of the mind, I'm going to take it while I can get it. Oh. And so he filed at like 64, and he was still working, or 63, something like that. And then at the end of the year, Social Security is like, hey, buddy, you made too much money. We want it back, okay? And so then they're going to withhold checks the next year and say, hey, you got to pay us back that money that you owe us. And so it's just something to keep in mind is if you do delay, think about how that strategy is going to work with your Social Security so that you optimize it and don't let the headlines I'm not saying don't be concerned about it. It's something we need to pay attention to, but don't allow that to play on your emotions to the point where it causes you to make a knee-jerk decision. Because
that could be the triple play of doom. Really could, right?
Golden sombrero even.
Yeah. Claim it early, still working. I mean, this could be very bad. So, but the whole idea is to have a plan put together, and you can do that with Stonebridge. You can get the whole thing looked at as a whole. That's why they call it the retirement compass, because all the points are covered. You can reach Stonebridge 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. And speaking of the location that you started with there, Tim, and Zach, you have clients that have primary residence in Nebraska and then secondary homes in Florida or Arizona or Colorado or anywhere else, right? Mm-hmm. And you can service them with their financial needs and help them with their, strategies for taxes and so on with both homes, right?
Yep, for sure. We have clients that are even based in other states. We're able to do it remotely, and
great.
Obviously tax statutes are different from state to state, so right. Some of the recommendations may change. But yeah, regardless of where you are in the U.S.
Right, but you're fully versed and legally capable of handling their.
Well, we're not attorneys, but we know enough to be dangerous.
Yes. Well, yes, that falls into the fiduciary
legally. We can work with you if you live in a different state.
Yeah.
And even Eli's family from back in Antarctica we're able to provide assistance with. So.
Marduk, I can't. Is he Irish? What his name is?
Very Antarctic.
Yep.
Yes. Well, anyways, poor Eli's not present to defend himself, and he's in the Omaha office if you want to see him. Same phone number, 866-295-5146. All right. How about to this theory that is popular from time to time, and that's easing into retirement? Do you like this idea, Zach, Tim? Easing in instead of jumping.
I would say, yeah. Gone are the days of just full stop, ending it, gold watch on your way out, big retirement party. It seems like a lot more people are easing into it, and we definitely advocate for that. There's a few different things that we may recommend with that, one of which would be taking an extended break before just quitting entirely, whether that's like Tim mentioned before with the Nebraska retirement. You take a year off, get your benefits, and then go back, whether it's to a similar job as before or maybe just something that you truly enjoy, with a little bit less income, right?
That sounds fun.
That can help. It also helps you take time to figure out, what do you want to do in retirement? We meet with clients a lot, and one of the early questions we asked in that first meeting is, what are your goals for retirement? What hobbies do you have? Because it turns out there's only so much on Netflix.
Yeah.
And as much as we'd all like to go play golf more, it does get old if we've done it 3-4 days in a row. So really taking the time to figure out what am I going to do in retirement, right? You can't take all this money with you, and now you have all this extra time. So what's that going to entail? Mm-hmm. To the other point Tim made about, location, if you're not going to stay where you are, consider renting or testing out a destination before you full on move there and purchase a home. So if you hear everyone saying, oh, we're going to go retire in Florida, oh, we're going to go retire in Arizona, maybe rather than just selling your house and moving there and figuring it out when you get there, spend some time there and figure out, is this what I want? Another thing to help ease the anxiety regarding retirement is test out, what your projected retirement budget's going to look like before you get to retirement.
Okay.
So, whether that's sitting down with us and looking at, okay, what's my Social Security going to look like? What's my pension going to look like if I have one? What's the safe withdrawal rate from all my accounts? Are we doing Roth conversions? Figure out what is my monthly income safely going to be? And then, for 6 months or so, live on that, right? How's that go? And if you've got plenty and you're comfortable, then, that can kind of help answer that question. And if not, then, maybe some conversations and decisions need to be had.
Do you feel like Tim, the transition, if you will, I hate to use that word, it's been overused in a different way in media, but do you feel like the transition into retirement is something that really deeply needs to be considered and not overlooked? There's so many aspects of that, emotionally, financially, because we count on our jobs for our for our ego and, to define us, doctors and farmers and everybody else.
I was in, the reason I wasn't available last week.
We missed you.
I know. Believe me, I know.
Could have called me.
I don't think that really would have filled the void, but I was in Topeka, Kansas. I was at a conference, and, the guy made a comment. He said, one of the keynote speakers, he said I was really mercilessly bullied as a kid, and so when I got older and a little bit older, and I started starting new businesses, and so all of a sudden I started being successful. Like I really found my identity in what I did, and that's who I was. And he said, it was almost like I was proving to the people that were mean to me that no, I have value. And then he sold his first business, and he said all of a sudden, like, I made tons of money. It was a crazy success. And, I was financially set, let's say, and didn't need to work still. And he was in his probably 40s at the time, which is kind of crazy to think. But he said I had I sold my identity with my business is what it felt like. And he said it took me years to realize that that's, I'm still me. That's not who I am. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that's really hard for people when they retire because, no, I'm the principal at this school. No, I'm the general manager of the store. No, I run, the whatever division within this organization. And I'm the controller. I'm the finance director. I'm fill in the blank.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the reasons why we kind of need to test drive it. And it's not bad to find something. Like one guy told me once he's a hospice doctor.
Oh.
And so he only works with people who are in their last final days on earth. And he said that it's a very humbling experience, and very, humanizing experience, but it also helped him realize that he wanted to make sure that he was doing something that he would be willing to do for free. Do something, find something that you would do whether they were paying you or not. And I think that's what a lot of retirees should be focused on is I need to find something that just gives me a sense of, I don't know what the right word is.
Fulfillment.
Fulfillment. Thank you. Yeah, that's really what I was looking for is fulfillment and satisfaction and joy, like true joy, not like, oh, I'm happy, because happy you can kind of fake, but joy is a little bit different. And
agreed.
So that's what I try to point people towards is It doesn't have to be, oh, I'm so-and-so the accountant. It's not, I'm so-and-so, and this is what I'm doing with my life. These are the people that I'm helping. And this is what gives me meaning and purpose.
Here's the number to reach out to Stonebridge, and they can help you strategize all of these things. 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146.
As Americans, we strive for better. From a better house to a better career to a better life for our children and grandchildren. Better has become the American way. When it comes to your retirement, what does better mean to you? Does it mean more income, a flexible lifestyle, better solutions? A better retirement begins with a financial plan. To get your complimentary written financial plan, call the number you see here. You only retire once. This is your opportunity to plan for better.
It's harvest time. It's harvest time on the show. Thank you for being here. Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems at 866-295-5146. I gave you my statistic, didn't I, about how many gallons of water come off of the corn and make it humid in the Midwest?
No, tell us.
Oh,
Do.
Golly, I'll find it by the time we're done talking about tax loss harvesting for our farmers. But it is a huge amount of water that comes to the surface of the atmosphere from the corn.
I'm going to see if I can get an answer right now.
It is amazing the amount of water.
Yeah.
And that's why it's humid here.
So this says water release per acre of crops. Typical transpiration rates. Corn transpires.
Yes.
Yes, 0.2 to 0.3 inches of water per day per acre during peak growth, which is like right now. 1 inch of water over 1 acre is 27,154 gallons. So at peak, 0.25 inches per day times 27,154 gallons per inch equals 6,788 gallons of water per acre per day. That seems.
Isn't that bananas?
Yeah, because then it says 136 billion gallons of water a day. Like, no, it's not. Come on.
Is. That's why it's so humid.
Sounds damp.
It sounds damp. So here's what I want to jump into because I know we got a short segment here.
Okay, all right.
So as harvest is going to be rapidly approaching, it doesn't seem real that, on August, we're recording this in early August, that this is a thing, but that's how fast summer goes here in on the plains. So what other types of harvest do we need to think of? Because we think of harvest and, okay, we're going to have, that word, it evokes some mental pictures, I think, for a lot of people. Some people, it's pumpkins and lattes and pumpkin patches and decorating. For most people, though, listening to this, it's going to be, it's another 1,000 hours in the tractor or the combine, and all the work and making sure you got a gopher and somebody to bring meals to the field and all the things that are involved with harvest. For financial folks like us, we want to support the people that are out there, the growers out in the field, and the folks that this is kind of the Super Bowl, if you will, the annual Super Bowl. It's time to reap what you've sowed.
You bet.
When it comes to your finances, there's something that comes up at the end of the year called tax loss or tax gain harvesting. I'd say is equally important in order to make sure that you've reaped the best benefit from a tax perspective from your portfolio. So for folks that have taxable dollars, so you got taxable, tax deferred, and tax free are three tax buckets. Tax deferred is where most people have their money. It's money that you put into your 401ks, your IRAs, your 403bs, your simple IRAs, your SEPs. And I'd say of the $40+ trillion that are in retirement accounts in the United States today, probably 70 to 80% are on the tax deferred side. Tax free, think more Roth. Taxable money, this is like a brokerage account. So a lot of you folks out there, especially the ag producers, carry really large cash balances. And sometimes it's completely understandable because maybe you don't want to have to run up a bunch of money on that operating loan or operating line of credit that 8-9% this year, I would guess, something like that. So let's assume that a portion of that's invested in a portfolio of equities. So stocks, ETFs, different things like that. Tax gain harvesting would be looking at where you're at in your tax bracket system, right? And say if I'm in the 22% bracket, I could maybe harvest some additional gains. And that's going to actually, if it's long-term gains, maybe I can take advantage of staying in the 15% long-term capital gains bracket. And I think that's a pretty good deal because I think in the future, I'm not going to be in any lower bracket. And if anything, it's going to be higher. Maybe because of the changes from the One Big Beautiful Bill Act and they expanded, they gave an extra year of inflation to the 10 and 12% brackets. Maybe I can actually harvest a larger percentage of long-term capital gains and pay zero in taxes. A married couple this year could have income approaching $130,000 and pay zero in taxes if it was all long-term capital gains, because essentially the way the bracket system works is if you're in the 12%, which used to be the 15, but 12% income tax bracket, you'll pay zero in long-term capital gains tax after the standard deduction. They goosed up the standard deduction. So now if you're 65 plus, if your adjusted gross income is below $150,000, you and your spouse get an additional $6,000, combined $12,000 of standard deduction. So now that 130 could be 140, 150, depending on where your income's coming from because of the dynamic with Social Security. If you were taking Social Security, that would be a complicating factor. My point is, don't let the end of the year come and go without at least taking 15 minutes to give us a call, get a 15-minute phone call booked, and let's look at your taxes and see, are there opportunities out there for you to reset basis, right? Lock in some gains for little to no tax, wait 30 days to avoid a wash sale rule and buy that stock back. Not specific advice, but for some folks, these are the types of things that over time, compounded year over year, if you do this correctly, I'm not making this up, folks. I can show you the math behind it. It'll save you potentially thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars in unnecessary taxes. Tax loss harvesting. Maybe you had some sales that you had earlier this year because you needed a capital for some inputs, whatever that might have been. Maybe we have some things that have come down since you purchased them. We sell the losers to offset the gains that would have been otherwise realized from the winners, so to speak.
Nice.
And they offset one another. Capital losses long-term will first offset capital gains long-term. So it takes time. It's a kind of an intricate process, but that's what our team of experienced advisors do here at Stonebridge.
This is the number, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Yes, it is Retirement Compass Radio Show with Stonebridge Wealth Systems. And I do have young Zach here along with Tim. And if you want to see what these fellows look like, go to the YouTube channel. It's Stonebridge Wealth Systems, Stonebridge Wealth Systems on YouTube. And there's going to be a whole lot of content up there. We do a weekly radio show and then their TV show that they do that runs locally in Nebraska and up there on all of their media sources. So there you have it. How about this, Tim? You want to talk about the market going up and down? I mean, this is it's an obvious thing to say, but what exactly is a market correction? How is this going to apply to a retiree?
Oh, you don't want to go into your bear and bull explanation?
My explanation of the bear market is that the bear can claw you down.
That's good.
Do you like it?
I don't think Zach's heard this, so
and the bull,
this is
and the
educational.
bull can make you go up, fling you, hit you in the rear, and make you fly up, like in the Spanish bull race deal.
I've seen that happen up in South Dakota. I would go through Custer State Park quite a bit, and this is specific advice. If you ever visit Custer State Park, do not get out of your car and pet the buffalo, because they will do that, and you will be on the local news and made fun of. So...
Because they'll headbutt you and make...
Oh, yeah. They'll throw you in the air. Yeah.
You'll go airborne.
Yeah. Happens every year, multiple times a year. Yeah. Tourists show up and try and pet the fluffy cow.
What is wrong
fluffy
with
cow.
people?
Fluffy cow. So don't do that, or you will be made fun of on TV.
Oh, and this Nash gets picked up nationally too. I don't know what's wrong with people. Zach, why are people trying to pet the fluffy cows?
I don't know, because they don't have cows in Manhattan, and so they just
Yeah.
freak out when they see buffaloes walk up to your car.
Oh, he's so cute.
Yeah, it's not a pet. Don't, no.
All right, let's talk to me about our market correction and why retirees should care about such a thing.
So here, I'll just chime in because I was just looking up this chart that I created back in March. So we're gonna hit this from the high level. We're gonna say market corrections are normal. We're gonna start with that.
Okay.
And we're gonna say market pullbacks and corrections happen regularly, should be expected as part of a long-term investment strategy. So don't panic. Don't allow your emotions to dictate your investment decisions. Average annual frequency of market declines. How often does it happen? So let's start with a dip, a 3% but less than 5% reduction in value from a high. How many times per year do you think that happens, Zach?
Covers your screen. 3% dip. I don't know. 20.
5. So now I got to go up. This is the
There's a lot
price
of
is
hand
right. How
signals
about
here.
7?
Thank
11?
you, Jackie.
7.
Thank you, Jackie. So 7.2 on average dips.
I'm a pessimist.
This is from, yeah, you are, man. Good grief. Ned Davis Research and Clark Capital Management Group. How about pullbacks, Zach? Pullback is 5% less than 10%. How many per year?
4.
You're getting there. 3.4.
Getting dialed in.
So now we're finally at corrections. Correction is at 10%, but we're going to say it's less than 15%. So 10 to 15% decline. Jackie, how many per year?
And what am I defining? How many? I mean,
How many times per year does the market drop 10%? But less than 15.
Oh, but less than 15?
Yeah.
I would say 5.
Well, if there's only
That's impossible.
3 times that it goes down 5% or more per
3.4.
year, how would it be 5?
I don't know. Then 2.8.
1.1. So the point is, on average, you're going to get one correction per year. You're going to have 15%, but less than 20% decline every other year. And about every 3 to 3.5 years, you're going to have a bear market. So they are a normal part of the investment cycle. So like when people back, and so, we're in such a politicized environment, it really makes Zach and I's job so much more difficult because everyone wants to be able to place blame on why something happened. So they're like, oh, see, I told you. So like back on April 8th, you had all these people that were dunking on the president and Howard Lutnick and all these people and Scott Bessent and saying, oh, see, we told you that they were going to crash the market and blah, 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 blah. And then what happened? In 57 days, we had a new all-time high. The fastest we've gone from a pseudo, let's call bear market to a new, not just a recovery back to like where the market started the year or to get out of the bear market. We got a new all-time high in 57 days. That is pretty incredible. And so a lot of these drawdowns have been what we call V-shaped recoveries, which just goes to show you, like the experts are typically wrong, just like the people that are saying, the markets like Vanguard and State Street and a lot of those big companies are saying that the market will only average 3 to 5%. U.S. stocks will only average 3 to 5% over the next decade. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll right this time. But the last 10 times they've said that, it hasn't happened. Because who could have predicted that, let's go back to 2020, COVID hit. Who could have predicted that you could type in on your computer a query or an entry or a prompt, and a machine would be able to scan 1 trillion different sources in less than a blink of an eye and give you maybe not the exact answer that you're looking for, but give you an answer that otherwise would have probably taken you a number of hours to generate yourself, right? Things have changed rapidly. Technology continues to change rapidly. as long as there's new ideas coming about, like the companies that are at the top of the S&P 500, at the top of the stock market that are leading the S&P higher today, they're not the same companies that like Bell Telephone isn't up there anymore, right?
Right.
So it changes. It'll continue to change in the future. And that's why we're not trying to like predict or pick winners here at Stonebridge. We're more focused on let's make sure that we've got a well-rounded approach that's going to put you in a position to be successful regardless of what specific name of company happens to be the one that takes the lead and kind of powers the market forward next.
That is a very interesting perspective on how fast things change. If you'd like to talk to Stonebridge, here's the number. Gosh, call and get an appointment and sit down and talk about not just the market, but everything we've covered on the show. It's 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. And if you're just now tuning in, gosh, we're covering everything to do with getting you to and through retirement, and it includes a lot more than you think, actually. There's so many things that go into it, and that's why I think it deserves a good amount of planning. We plan our European vacation for our 25th wedding anniversary or whatever. We spent a year working on that and saving for it and so on and so on. But here it comes to retirement, and we just plunk down in the chair. Some people think that that's going to be a retirement.
What do you think about that, Zach?
Oh, is it my turn? I think
you may comment at any time, Zach. Anytime
let's not get
you
carried
want
away.
to.
I think just jumping into retirement, as the kids say, just full send YOLO is not a very good idea. You're
a yard sale.
Yeah, there you go. Pulling the skiing terms. One thing we like to tell people is you're only ever going to retire once, hopefully once. And we've done it hundreds or thousands of times between all of us advisors. So getting just a little bit of input on that is definitely in your best interest.
I was thinking,
can't redo it.
The asset allocation, if people are invested, they arrive at your chair and plunk down and say, okay, get me retired. Do you think their asset allocation at that time is usually out of whack?
I would say it depends. A lot of people, what we see is they come in here and a majority of their savings is in 401k, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And what a lot of people end up doing with their 401ks is they just put the money in and they buy a target date fund for the year that they're going to retire, and they don't ever touch it, right? Don't ever look at it, don't know what's in it. And, that allocation, when target date funds came out, they were a good idea, and they're definitely better than nothing. But we look at those as being rather mechanical in nature. Essentially, every 5 years, what it's going to do is it's going to sell some equities and buy some bonds. And obviously, the percentage just gets higher and higher the closer you get to retirement. Regardless of what the market's doing, if that's a good idea or not, it's going to happen, right? So, that's on the right track of the closer you get to retirement, the more you're going to have to protect yourself from things like sequence of returns risk. So what we like to call the retirement red zone is the 5 years before and after you retire. If you experience a 20% pullback in that period and you start making the withdrawals, your portfolio drops 20%, and now you start pulling money out at the bottom because you've retired and you need the income, right? The odds of you being able to recover from that are not great. So the closer you get to retirement, the more you're going to want to make sure, okay, I need to get conservative here, maybe have more of a cash cushion, whatever that looks like for you, so that you can help avoid those sequence of returns risk.
Sure, and possibly avoid using your 401k. Hopefully you've turned it into an IRA if you're going to be retired, and use that as a cash machine, to pay for, a new air conditioner, a new heater, or, down payment for your kids' first home or something of this nature. That's not ever a good strategy, is it? Using it like a cash machine, Tim.
What's a cash machine?
Do people use cash still?
Yes. Yes.
Are you talking about an ATM? Like, I'm not sure what a cash machine is.
That's what a cash machine is, an ATM.
Okay. It's a banker in a box.
Yeah, that's right.
I told my wife before I was married, like right after I met her, she asked what I did, and I told her I managed an ATM. And she just she was like, oh, cool. And then it's kind of a joke now because her mom talks about how she came home one time and said she met a guy, and her mom said, well, what does he do? And she said, he manages an ATM. And then she asked me what that meant. I said, well, there's got to be somebody in there to dole out all the $5 and $20 bills, right?
Did not. You didn't. That's why I call it a cash machine. Not a good idea to use your 401k as an ATM, Tim.
And treat those people in those boxes well, okay? It's hard work. I know.
Deposit a tip from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's next?
Oh, what's next? You okay? I was trying to get you to talk about not using their 401k as a cash machine, but that's okay.
I mean,
What can be done otherwise?
It depends on what age you are. Like,
all right.
If you're a retirement age, how do you turn it into a cash machine? And so, like, I used to say this all the time. I said, funny thing happens when you retire, your income stops, but your bills don't. And so you still have responsibilities and obligations. And so what a lot of people will use as a tool to generate income is a insurance-based product. And so they'll use something like an annuity. I already talked about the state annuity. And here's the thing. In a recent survey by, what's the name of the group? Like the Retirement Insecurity Institute, it was the Retirement Security Institute, and it was their annual Retirement Insecurity Survey.
No.
Okay, and it found that like 71% of Americans believe that those that retire with a pension have a better than average potential to have a successful, enjoyable, satisfactory, higher satisfaction in retirement. Let's put it that way, okay?
Yeah.
Well, a pension is effectively a form of an annuity. So the state of Nebraska, you work, for the county, the state, whatever department it is, you got the cash balance plan, you can turn it into an annuity. So really what it comes down to is how much income am I going to get? Because now it's a game of longevity. It's a game of how long am I going to be able to draw on this? Now you can do different types of death benefit scenarios with like cash balance. So what we do is if somebody says, hey, no, I can't, I'm not going to pull the trigger on retirement because I don't know where my income's going to come from. There's this, there's a rational response where people are like, you know what, I'm not going to draw on this because I'm worried I might outlive my money. What if I have some healthcare thing, arise? I don't want to be a burden to my family. We can address all that, right? I can handle that. But really where the annuity can come into play and actually be a useful tool is the studies, that same study also showed that folks that have guaranteed income sources like a pension or an annuity will spend as much as double every single year in retirement than those that have their wealth in a different form of wealth, so to speak, which is more of a lump sum. So if we could carve out a portion of somebody's portfolio, like I had one guy who, if we took 18% of his total nest egg and converted that into a income-focused annuity, so less than a fifth, okay, less than 20%. So you got to keep 82% over here. We're just going to take 18%. Now, he was like 58, wanted to retire, or 55, and he's going to retire in 8 years at 63. 8 years from now, between Social Security, and again, just go with me here. We're not thinking about trust funds here. Between Social Security for him, his wife, and this annuity that we designed, that was going to cover all of his basic needs. So that means that other 82% of his money was purely discretionary. So are you going to have more confidence and feel like you've been handed a license to spend if you knew that before you put your socks on or brushed your teeth or made breakfast that day, all of your bills are covered? If you still have a mortgage, we'll build that into the plan. If you don't, but you want to build in a travel budget, we'll add that to the plan. Zach does a great job when he's designing our clients' plans to make sure that ask the questions, what do you want to do? Let's build in not just so you can survive, but that you can have that higher level of satisfaction doing all the things that you've always wanted to do. And in order to make sure that you pull the trigger and are able to follow our recommendations, we're not just going to tell you you can do it. We're going to show you how that's possible.
Here's the number, 866-295-5146. Doesn't that sound wonderful before you even brush your teeth? 866-295-5146.
Did you ever think your retirement would be shared with our government? It's true. Your traditional 401k, IRA, pension, or similar retirement accounts are like a partnership with the IRS. Simply put, they want their tax dollars, and you have them. With our latest tax calculator, you can plug in your own numbers while sitting at home. To find out what your future tax liability could be, scan the QR code or go to stonebridgetaxbill.com.
You have asked, and we are answering. Should I say, you've asked, and Stonebridge is answering. Time for questions, scenarios, and how about this one? Zach, are you ready to launch into this? It's your first program, so you don't mind me going to the board here and asking you some things?
Oh, we'll do our best.
All right, here's the scenario. 66 years old, still working part-time and wondering if it's worth delaying Social Security until 70 to boost their monthly benefit. They're 66 now. How should someone weigh the tax implications and long-term payoff of waiting versus claiming earlier?
Yeah, so the joke we always like to make is the answer to every question in personal finance is it depends.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things that this depends on. But when determining what the best age to take Social Security is, when you come into our office and meet with us, one of the things we're going to do is run a Social Security analysis. So we'll be able to show you what delaying it looks like in the terms of what's your benefit going to be and how long is it going to take, for you to break even, right?
Oh.
A lot of the time, one of the things we'll see is, you may end up with more, but the break-even points when you're in your late 80s. And sure, it's great to have more money in your late 80s, but a lot of people would have probably preferred to have that money when they were a little younger and wanted to travel and wanted to go do more things. So that's something just completely outside of taxes that is something to consider. But when looking at the tax implications of it, you had mentioned that they're working part-time. Social Security, the taxation of it is based on your provisional income, which is all of your other income plus half of your Social Security benefit. So having some sort of an income is obviously going to increase the what taxes you'll end up paying on your Social Security. It could push more of it into taxability. There's also the annual earnings test, something to consider as well. So there's a lot of different things to look at without knowing the numbers. It's hard to give a specific answer.
I don't know. I just had this image of being pushed into taxability. No.
Yeah, that's something you don't want to do.
No, very good, very good. Now, if you have specific questions along these lines about your own Social Security strategy and when do you want to claim and what your spouse is doing with theirs, et cetera, 866-295-5146. Call Stonebridge, 866-295-5146. And you can get on the schedule that way just to book an appointment. Depending on where you live, they can serve you anywhere in the Midwest, essentially. All right, Mr. Kulhanek, how about this? Somebody thinking about doing a small Roth conversion each year in their early 60s, and of course stretch that out before the RMDs start in the early 70s, but they don't want to jump into that higher tax bracket. So how do you tell someone when a Roth conversion strategy makes sense?
We ask for a chance that's fair. Chance to all the stripes. Chance to do it there. If we should win, let it be by the code. Our faith and honor held high. If we should lose, stand by the road.
Cheers, the winners go by.
What movie is that from?
That's from every Saturday in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh, yes.
That is the
my
Husker
goodness.
game day prayer, day by day. We get
When
better
does
and
it
better.
start? When does
So
it
we can't be
start?
beat. Won't be beat. We do that every morning here at 8:30 during our team huddle. Zach leads it.
I was not sure if you were going to scream into the microphone there at the end or not. I was
I wanted
I
to.
was nervous. I really
starts
didn't
to-
know.
Bubble up.
Yeah, it does.
Get you
It
going.
does. Lifelong. It's in my blood. So I think one thing that's changing with Roth conversions, you see how easy I just flow from that to
Yes.
like it's I used to get psyched to go play football, and now I get psyched up to go talk about taxes. This is what my life has become.
Oh, how far we've
So,
fallen.
yeah.
Yes.
I think one thing is changing with, and not like a massive shift, but something that you need to be cognizant of as you're doing your Roth conversions is the changes from the OB3, OB Trice, OBBBA, however you want to call it. Shout out to Ryan E. Yeah, he came up with OB Trice. It's a pretty good name. One Big Beautiful Bill Act. And that is, I'm going to go through some of these adjustments that have been made. So reduced federal income tax rates are permanently extended. So that means we've got a longer runway to get these conversions done. Before, the assumption was, hey, next year, 2026, we go back to the pre-TCJA rates, and that 22% bracket was going to go back to 25, and those brackets were going to condense down because the inflation wasn't the same. The expansion that we received under TCJA was going to also be exhausted. and so they're going to collapse back down. That's not going to happen, and we'll actually take an act of Congress to change these now. So it doesn't give Congress the ability to just let something expire. Instead, they would have to actually pass a bill to raise taxes. Eventually, they'll probably have to do it. Zach talked about the math on that. That's something to keep in mind. Extension, or really, when it comes to our small business owners out there, the qualified business income deduction for self-employed small business owners is now permanent, and the income limitations have been expanded. That'd be something that we could talk about. But this expanded standard deduction, let's talk about that real quickly. It was supposed to be $15,000, single $30,000 for a married filing jointly couple. Now we got $15,750 and $31,500 is the base standard deduction. If you're 65 plus, if you're single, you get an extra $2,000. If you're married, you get an extra $1,600 per person, or $3,200 for the household. So now we're at $34,700 for the base for 65 plus. Then we go to that next tier, that additional potential $6,000 per person if your income is below, your adjusted gross income is below $150,000. So now we get into the territory, we're talking about like $46,700, I think is what it comes up to, something like that. Standard deduction for the folks that aren't filing a Schedule A. Why is this relevant to a Roth conversion strategy? There's phase outs, right? So your effective rate, if you go over that, if you're in the 24% bracket, once you start going, or 22% bracket, once you start going over that 150 just a gross income, every dollar over that you take out, for example, in a Roth conversion, not only are you paying tax at your effective tax rate, let's say 22%, but you're also losing 6% of a deduction, okay?
Oh.
So if you converted $100,000 and you're married filing jointly and your AGI was 150 and it goes to 250, okay, that's 100% phase out. So not only would you pay tax, let's say 22% on that $100,000 or $22,000, you'd also lose $12,000 deduction dollars.
Oh.
This just got a lot more complicated. There are a lot more landmines out there and pitfalls that stand between you and the path to a tax-efficient retirement. With the passage of the OBBBA, I'd say that there's a lot more opportunities as well. But if you don't know how to navigate this, pockmarked road that has a lot of potential surprises for you that you may not be very happy with once you find out after the fact, that would absolutely be a reason you'd want to speak with myself, Zach, or one of our other experienced advisors to make sure that we can help you navigate, be that lamp that guides the path to safety, if you will, so you can leverage this and use it as a tool and a resource and a benefit to you, and not as a burden on your overall tax bill this year and for the years to come.
Oh, use this number, 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146 to quell that bit of anxiety that's just welling up in you hearing that explanation from Tim. It was for me. I'm like, now, wait a minute. Let the experts work on this for you and with you, 866-295-5146. All right, Zach, you're up. How about a house that is paid off and worth around $500,000, but the maintenance and property taxes are eating into the cash flow for the folks? Should they consider downsizing for more financial breathing room, or is there a smarter way to tap into their home equity while staying put? This is always the question, isn't it? Should we move? Should we stay, or should we go now?
Always the question, right?
Yes.
Well, if we're talking about tapping into the home equity in the form of like a HELOC second mortgage type situation, Dave Ramsey would tell you no. And I probably would as well. Finding obviously eating into the cash flow. Is there anything in the cash flow that we could look at, that we could change? Those would become my first question of how could we find possibly more income, whether that's from distributions from retirement, et cetera. Other things that come to mind, in Nebraska, we have the homestead exemption. So as long as, your income as a married couple is less than, I think it's $62,000 or so, or if the home's value is less than 200% the county average, which I'm not sure what Lancaster County average is. I don't know if 500,000 falls into that. There's ways we could have your property taxes reduced. Otherwise, if all of those options have been exhausted, then yeah, maybe it does come time to look at downsizing into a smaller home. Obviously, one that we hopefully pay cash for with what we get out of the current home, and that would obviously give you a lot more breathing room.
And then it would be a cash machine, Tim. That house would be a cash machine. All right, here's the...
Still don't know what that is.
You don't. 866-295-5146. 866-295-5146. Get in to talk to Stonebridge about all the things concerning you and your family as you're getting ready for retirement. You don't just want to fly into the retirement seat. Oh, we have some music. Tim has something for us.
I was getting everybody ready for football, okay?
Football season.
So far, we've got Tunnel Walk. This is 1995, the most dominant team ever in college football.
I wasn't alive for this.
You missed out. Sorry, buddy.
Has Nebraska been relevant in my lifetime?
Yeah, we would rate it the top 10 and stuff in the past, but not like competing for national titles. No. But I was awake. I was awake and alive. I was awake and alive for 3 of them, and it was delicious. It was wonderful. And this is one of the stations that we air on for sure that will broadcast the games this fall. We're going to be doing a little bit of advertising. We're actually going to be the title sponsor of the Northwestern game. That's a military appreciation game. And got a little bit of things we're doing with the volleyball team as well for advertising. So we're excited for Husker football season. I hope everyone else is. And hopefully you can continue to learn some good tidbits of information and implement. Like, at the end of the day, folks, there's 2 types of people. There's those that hear this and say, I should probably do that sometime. And then before they know it, life's taken over, schedules get in the way, and nothing's actually changed. And then there's those that say, I'm going to turn the procrastination button off. I'm done with that. I'm going to take action to augment my circumstances to better suit my goals, objectives, and I want to get this retirement thing figured out. I want to get this One Big Beautiful Bill Act thing figured out. We're the team. We can help you.
Okay, again, it's 866-295-5146, 866-295-5146. That's a wrap on Retirement Compass Radio Show. Cue the music, Tim. There we go. We had to have our music.
Is that a live studio audience?
That was for you, Zach.
Yeah.